Food and weight obsession can be exhausting. Losing weight, gaining weight, dieting, feeling like a failure because you missed a workout, binged, overate, or gained all the weight back. The cycle is endless and it can be maddening. But I'm here to say you can stop the mental madness. You can take back control of your food behaviors, but you have to face your fears, you have to ask for help, and make a change. I am Leslie M. Thornton, permanent weight loss coach from hpwl.co. This is Hypnosis for permanent weight loss, and I know you can make this happen. On this podcast, you will hear how to stop the mental madness, love your body, trust your food decisions so you can create a life of happiness, freedom, and inner peace. Hello, Leslie M. Thornton, Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss. I totally want to brag on this client that I just had a session with. I am going to tell you about her journey. I am also inviting her to come on to the Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss podcast because her transformation has just been remarkable. And she specifically, I would say, is a transformational leader. And she knew for herself that she needed to invest in herself, actually work on her food, body, and weight stuff so that she could actually go back to work, be her powerful leader self, and be able to bring her best self to the workplace. And it's just been absolutely extraordinary to watch her over the last several months. So I'm just going to get into it. So yes, like I was saying, she actually took a leave of absence from her job because she knew that she needed to take care of herself. Like, how many of us can actually say that you value yourself and your mental and emotional health so much that you're actually willing to face whatever judgments or eyebrow raises could come as the result of using your leave of absence simply for yourself versus major life events. Especially in American culture, I just feel like there's so much, looking down on actually even using some of those things that are a right to be able to utilize in the workplace. Um, but especially for something like your own emotional and mental health, your own personal growth and development, and to just recognize, like, I am in a space of burnout and, I need to take a step back. Now, not only did she do that, but she also found our program and decided to invest in the 8-week program, Fast Track to Freedom, because she struggled with food, body, and weight stuff during the time that she took off for her leave of absence. What? She was like, this is the perfect amount of time. This is exactly what I need. Like, I don't just want this leave of absence to be, for nothing. I want to actually work specifically and focus on the things that are holding me back when it comes to my health, my happiness, whatever, again, so I can go back in as my best self, as, someone who is ready to work and perform, but from a space of my cup is full. So already, like, two absolutely remarkable, phenomenal acts, right? And then just watching her journey. So as she was going through our Fast Track to Freedom program, she just showed up so fully. And literally everything that she was learning, you could just see that she's absorbing everything like a sponge and just immediately implementing what is being taught to her and therefore immediately seeing different types of results. Absolutely awesome. This is how I've always been and experienced all the results I've had in my life, is because when I invest in something, I 100% put every part of my being into it. I am extremely coachable. I try it on for myself. I take the risk, right? Because it's always going to be the coach saying to do probably the opposite of what you're used to be doing, because, right, what we're doing is getting you out of diet mentality. So the same energy that got you into being a dieter is going to be completely different energy, thought process, actions that are going to get you out of diet mentality. So it feels uncomfortable, right? You have to be willing to get out of your comfort zone. You have to be willing to take action. But, on the other side of your pushing through and past that discomfort is the results you want to get, right? Is having a healthy, peaceful relationship with food, body, and weight, is maintaining your weight, of having permanent weight loss, and, just feeling free in this area of your life so you can focus on other things and how to, be masterful in other areas of your life by really formulating this like beautiful bubble of like how to take care of yourself. Nobody actually teaches us how to take care of ourselves as human beings. When you really look at it, like who actually taught you how to be with your emotions and hard stuff? Who actually taught you how to communicate effectively with your husband, and the difference of how to communicate with your husband versus the different ways you communicate with the people at work? There's a difference, a major difference, versus how do you be with friends? Right? How do you be with family? There are different boundaries for these different relationships, right? And if we don't know how to communicate properly in those different places, then we will isolate ourselves. We will take a step back. We will start maybe even gossiping about these people and saying like, oh, well, they're the worst person at this, or they need to fix that, or right? Because whenever we're not having a safe place, an effective way to put the energy that we need to communicate out there, then that is getting locked inside of ourselves, or it's coming out in this negative type of way, which doesn't make you super great to be around, by the way. It's not your fault. It's process. We work with you through the whole thing. And that's part of this client I'm bragging on her wins, is the fact that she has such a growth mindset. She 100% is like seeing herself as like she's observing her actions, but taking no ownership about the fact that her actions are who she is. Like she knows that she's this infinite being. She knows that she is consciousness. And so when she's getting feedback, she's just so loves it. She tries it on. She's like, that's amazing. And then she implements it and gets a different result. Now, that can be a process because sometimes when you get feedback, we can take it personally. Our ego takes everything personally. The unconscious mind, one of its main roles is that it takes everything personally, right? So that's another thing, is like if you're taking things personally and you're not in that space, like my client is, of knowing that she is this infinite consciousness and her actions are not who she is. It's just how she's been programmed, and she's just working on reprogramming through action taking and awareness, right? What she's doing so she can get different results. If you're not in that space, then that, can also lead to emotional eating, right? Because you might be blaming yourself and shaming yourself and angry at yourself, and right. And again, that emotional turmoil, right? It's got to go somewhere. It's got to come out somehow. So this is where the eating habits, the emotional eating, the destructive habits can come in, or you lash out at your partner or your kids, or, we end up with doing these behaviors that we're not proud of because we never learned how to take care of ourselves. Right. So, and then how do we know, how do we take care of our physical bodies? How do we take care of our mental, our emotional, our spiritual, right? Like in order to live a full existence as a human being, especially in the world today, we need to equip ourselves with how to take care of ourselves, right? And like not just take care of ourselves, but in a way that's in alignment for you, right? So, do you care about having a spiritual life? Did you have one in the past and you've gotten away from it, and you're recognizing that, maybe if you incorporated that again in your life, that could make a major difference for you in as far as how you're feeling on a day-to-day basis, and being able to have, faith in something bigger than you. Do you um what's going on with your physical health right now? Where are you at currently, with your eating habits, with your drinking habits, with all that kind of stuff? Does it feel in alignment for you, or are you guilting and shaming yourself for not doing that because you haven't yet declared for yourself of what kind of eater you want to be at this time in your life? And it can change, right? Now, as I'm talking about these different areas of life, what I want you to realize is that without knowing, we all will adopt however our families did things in life. So if you had a family that was not present to health at all, well, it's not your fault that maybe it's challenging for you to be present to food and health and how to do that kind of stuff. But also, if you had a family that was super health conscious and like, you know, and that was my situation, then it's like, well, now I'm wired to be super health conscious, but maybe I actually want to have a balance with every single aspect of life and food and, not worry about gaining weight as much and just be able to live my life fully, right? So it's like there's a path of breaking out and becoming aware of, and part of how you break out is to become aware of what are the habits and patterns you've adopted through your life so far that may not actually be a match for who you are, right? And who do you want to become? Who are you outside of whatever, was the normal path for you? I just listened to a podcast recently and they talked about the 4 stages of love. So awesome. So the first stage of love is kind of codependent love, where it's like, I need this, right? And it's kind of this, I need to take care of someone or someone needs to take care of me kind of energy. Um, that, plays out like that and not necessarily healthy. Can support anybody in getting out of that. I've done it many times. Second stage of love is when you realize you don't need it, but you really want it. And so you're kind of attached to getting it and you're, really kind of focused on getting that kind of love. The third stage of love is titled I am love. So it's recognizing that who you are is love, and any emotion that someone else evokes, outside of you. So if you're with a partner and say they make you feel so amazing, but then that partner goes away, you end the relationship. Well, since you are love, it's like that person didn't make me feel that way. They showed me what I was capable of creating inside my own body and how I'm able to feel myself by being in my life. And therefore, I'm grateful, but I don't need them because I am love. The fourth stage of love is just love. It is plain and simple, just love. And this is where, it gets a little bit more esoteric, but there is a Rumi quote of whatever I always need to pause on this quote and what it is. Whatever I am looking for is the thing that is looking. Whatever I am looking for is the thing that's looking. And so this really kind of like can expand out the boundaries of the mind and of the body and have us start to really get that, we're all in a virtual reality game. Absolutely everything is love. There is nothing else. And so it becomes like it gets to be this opportunity to just align to that love. And part of our process that we're bringing our clients through is supporting you in healing. The relationship with your food can start out as being codependent of this is my way to cope. I need this, right? Second one is like, I don't, need this, but I want this, right? Fourth is like, I can create those same feelings for myself that food does. And fifth is just like, there's nurturance all around me. Like, that's just like, I am life. So just watching, this one particular woman go through all of these different stages and just work on every single aspect of her life has just been absolutely phenomenal. And to see her, really not have issues with her eating habits anymore. But then now she's translating that all over into her workplace and she's translating that over into her family life. So I see this all the time where now that people have gained this awareness and they've kind of really expanded their way of thinking and they're learning how to, match up with these different stages of love or like elevate or expand their consciousness about these things. It's so amazing to do. And even going through this process myself, and like as I'm so committed as a leader to keep elevating my consciousness and like to become more of love, and that awareness of it, just to, yeah, the whole thing. It's just absolutely awesome. But anyway, so yeah, she, after tackling, the initial program and having that freedom, well, then again, she took it to work and she took it to family. So when we were working today, she brought up these different 3 scenarios at work and in life that were things, she was just kind of like, I wasn't super happy with my response of this. Right. And again, with her kind of getting that she is consciousness, right? And like there is no guilt and shame about her actions. She's able to just bring up, this is what I noticed that I did, and I am ready to receive the coaching to, fix that. And that's, or adjust it, not necessarily fix it. And she's not so upset with herself because she has, had this expansion into knowing that who I am is love, and just love is all there is. So how do we become again a match with that in our communication and our way of being that can just, magnetize everything that we could ever need to us? It's absolutely awesome. Okay. So she came to me and she was like, I'm not super happy with the way that I was, acting this past week. Right. And I want to look at it. So the first thing I said, she was kind of short with different people in her life. So one thing with emotional mastery that's super, um, important for us to look at. So as women, even if you don't have your cycle anymore, you can still go through the different hormonal shifts in your body. So this client, she still was getting her period and she was like, you know what? It actually is coming. So just having that awareness of like, if I'm feeling super short in general, instead of like making ourselves wrong for it or trying to figure it out, it can be like, okay, this actually is a biological phenomenon that's happening in my body right now that's challenging for me. Awesome. So it can just give that umbrella of awareness into like, like take a deep breath. This too shall pass, right? And can also give you the opportunity to, do things differently during that, time of the month or that week or whatever that has you, have better results or not end up in situations like that, etc. So that was the first thing. Okay. And then one of the situations was at work and, it was just a beautiful demonstration of we're constantly changing, right? As human beings, we're evolving all the time. And certain things that may have been okay for us in the past may no longer be okay anymore. So, for example, if you were someone who was, you know, self-deprecating in the past. So say you're like, oh, well, I'm dumb, or, I'm stupid. I can't figure anything out. Like say that you used to do something like that in the past. Your family or whoever was around you during that time may have we train people how to be with us, right? So you might say, okay, like now they might come and say, well, you're stupid, or well, you always make mistakes like that. So with the example she gave, and I'm kind of making up a different example, but it was the same flavor where she said, this, she had changed where she was like, she's evolved and taught herself of like, I don't want to be self-deprecating anymore. Right. So she then would come and say, instead, like sometimes we'll snap and be like, don't call me stupid, don't call me dumb. I'm not that way, da 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 da. But it's a little unfair because we haven't bridged over with that person, right? About like, hey, I know I laughed about that in the past, but I don't really want to do that anymore about myself. Like, would it be okay if we didn't, make that joke anymore? Right. And we just want to assume that people want to support us with things like that. So, you know, just to have that awareness. And again, this is all part of the permanent weight loss journey. This is all part of knowing how to take full care of yourself because, if we have these upsets and severances in relationships or whatever, then that can cause us to run to the cabinet and we're never actually evolving. You're never actually able to graduate and develop yourself to your next promotion or a better relationship with your husband or your family, etc. So that was that one. So just remembering to like bridge over if there's a new way of being, it's like it gets to be our responsibility to communicate that and like assume people want to help us and support us with it, but not to just like abruptly, make someone wrong for doing that. The other thing was talking about, at work, somebody said, oh, well, they don't have any work today, essentially. but that was not actually true. So in life, we have what was said of like that you don't have any work today, right? And then what we make it mean. Okay, so oftentimes we have this emotional distress within us when that's not disconnected. And so we're like reacting based on what we're making something mean. So it's like the facts is he said, you don't have any work today, right? What I made that mean was I'm lazy, I'm not as good as other people, I'm not doing as much work as anybody else, right? And so we may react to the story, but if we're just focusing on the facts of what was said, then we can actually powerfully address it, right? And just create a safe space to not be walked over, right? Not be, but like also not create a fight and not create a severance in a relationship when we're just focusing on the facts. It's such a key point in business relationships that you get that. And then the final piece before I sign off to get to my next client call, which I'm excited to share more brags as I keep going here because I know there'll be some for that one. The third one was around her husband. And this one is such a great one to work on because, like I was saying, there's different ways to communicate with your husband than there are with people at work. So sometimes when we are professionals, especially women at work, we are really programmed to communicate as leaders. And so our programming will have us do the same thing at home. But if we want to have like a really loving relationship, and you have to decide this for yourself of do you want to be seated in the feminine in your relationship versus the masculine. And that's really a preference. I prefer to sit in the feminine. I'm doing the masculine all day at work. I would like to have a safe space to just like, be cared for, loved, right? To receive as a feminine energy often, does. So getting that, because she brought that leadership talk to work, it was like, her husband had a Valentine's Day, like, I want to take you out to dinner. And she didn't want to go out to dinner. She didn't want to wait in the lines. She didn't want to be, right, doing all of the Valentine's chaos. So immediately she's just like, well, I don't really want to do that. I don't want to wait in the lines. But if we pause and we actually appreciate the husband's gesture first. So it's like, I so appreciate that you want to take care of me and like that you made that date, I'm feeling a little bit like I'd like to do something different based on X, Y, and Z. Like, would you be able to think of maybe something else better for us? It just allows the man to feel appreciated, allows, the ball to be put back into his court where he's still making the decisions, and it allows you as a female to continue to receive all of those kind gestures, which can just make the whole relationship, the whole marriage just continue. I have so much more on this that I can share about, but hope this has been inspiring to you. And just know, like, this is part of the entire journey. It's like, we need to work with you hands-on on specifically what's going on with your dynamics, with your life, with your health, how we can take care of all the energy that's at play that has you actually, take care of yourself the way that you do on a day-to-day basis. Once you're just like in it and you have the access to developing yourself in these better ways, like that's when energy comes back, motivation comes back. You're just like back in your gear and on fire and living a life that you love. You deserve that. Take a second, think about that. I would love to have you join our program. This is the best time to join the program. So if you've been thinking about it, you've been on the fence, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? We're waiting for you on the other side. So go to our website, hpwl.co, get the ball rolling, book a call with us, and we'll talk to you very soon. If you are serious about taking action on your struggle with food, body, and weight, then this is for you. Go ahead and text the word hypnosis to 855-BE-ALIVE. That's 855-232-5483. Immediately after texting that number, you will get access to our free training that will tell you why you can't figure the food, body, and weight thing out, why you can't keep weight off even after you've been successful in the past, and how to actually overcome it, including a mini hypnosis session at the end. Don't miss out. Text the word hypnosis to 855-BE-ALIVE. That's 855-232-5483.